Shalom. First of all, let's start off by giving all going honor to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Kakadash. The belongs to teachers, elders, and apostles of great millstone, like God's brothers, but on this truth. Faithfully, fearlessly feeding the sheep and do brothers and sisters that are tuning in. Shalom. Today's lesson's title, They Hunt Our Steps in Edom. Now, you know, the times that we're in right now is very perilous times. And, there's a lot of blame game going on. And particularly the fingers are pointed at the so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos, and Hispanics. And trying to blame us, for everything that's going south in Great Babylon, America, also known as Edom, also known as spiritual Sodom, and Egypt, right? But this is not coincidental, This is actually part of the curses that we are finishing off right now as we speak here in Great Babylon, America. Let's go into the scriptures here, and then I'm going to show you a series of clips. Of course, we're going to bring out the scriptures, and I implore you to watch this video to the end. I know most people just, click out it after, but I heard that scripture before, like that. That's fine. You can do what you want to do, but I implore you to watch this to the end. This is the book of Deuteronomy 28, starting verse 65, and it reads, "And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy feet have rest. But the Lord Yahweh Shai shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, With power it were even, and at even thou shalt say, With power it were morning. For the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see." Now I'm going to play you this short clip here, and I want you to take a look at what's currently taking place here in Great Babylon, America, while a lot of our people spend their energy and time coming up against the men of the Lord that have been given the vision to bring out this warning. Our eyes are not clouded. We have nothing to gain in this world. So there is no guile in our speech. Take a look at this video clip.
The man in the black shirt is Christopher Cantwell, one of the organizers of the alt-right group that marched in Charlottesville. He's prominently featured on the HBO show Vice, where he explained some of his views.
Michael Brown and Tamir Rice and all these different things happen. Every single case, it's some little black behaving like a savage.
In the video, he claims his group did not agitate the masses, and he was pepper sprayed twice.
You got mace?
Yeah.
By who?
By commies. We're not non-violent. We'll kill these people. We're not non-violent. We'll kill these people. We're not non-violent. We'll kill these people. We're not non-violent. We'll kill these people.
Now, you saw in that video clip, this is who you'll call Bob. This is who you'll call Billy. These same people, you'll probably see them out there, and you would never know that they plot or they are planning on killing you. They hate you. How many times do we have to tell you never to trust thy enemy? This is Lamentations 4 and 18. It reads, "They hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursue us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness." So you hear the man, and I played it 3 times where he said, we're not above violence. If we have to, we'll kill these people. This is coming out of a so-called white man's mouth. This is how they feel right now as they see their society is collapsing. And you might say to yourself, well, not a big deal. We've always had these type of people around. Wait till I show you the next clip, because this is very specific to so-called Negro man. You ever wonder why you get that look? Why people look at you a little different? You ever wonder why Jake gets slammed down so hard? Why is it that you go to the doctors and they look at you as if you're indestructible? They don't tend to your needs. They don't see your tears as anything like other people. Take a look at this and learn, Jake.
Historically, black men have been stereotyped as more threatening than men of other races.
I'm putting my hands down now.
A new study found that people viewed black men as larger and stronger than white men of the same size, even if they weren't actually larger or stronger. Researchers conducted multiple experiments using nearly 1,000 online participants. Among other things, the participants estimated the height and weight of black and white men based on their faces, determined their ability to cause harm, and described the extent to which police use of force would, hypothetically, be appropriate in subduing those people. Even black participants perceived young black men to be more muscular than young white men. This study ties into previous research findings that black boys were viewed as older and less innocent than white boys. That study was published the same year 12-year-old Tamir Rice was shot and killed by a Cleveland police officer. The president of Cleveland's police union called Rice menacing and described him as having an adult body. The researchers behind the new study don't say their research should be applied to face-to-face interactions, but they do hope their findings will be used to examine when police choose to use force.
Now you saw in that video clip, okay? This is about perception. In fact, let's take a look at the meaning of perception in the AI overview. And it means perception is a psychological process by which the brain identifies, organizes, interprets sensory information. It transforms raw environmental stimuli into a coherent, meaningful, conscious experience, and is heavily shaped by personal memories, past experiences, expectations, and attention. Expectations and attention. Keep in mind, what did it talk about? It talked about the fact that they see you as bigger. You know, here you are, 5'4", 5'3", Jake man. But when 911 get that call, they say it's a black man. Okay, and I'm speaking in the language that is spoken here in Great Babylon, America. We use so-called black, Latinos, Native Americans, and Hispanics, but let's just use the term that they use, so-called a black man. In the back of the mind of these cops, right away, they see a menacing man. Now take a look at it. They come, okay, and you that cop at the Empire, what did he say? That teenager looked like an adult. He had the body of an adult. So they assess you as more aggressive than you really are. For example, you'll see a kitten, but in the back of the person's mind, they saw a lion, a ferocious lion. And this is telling you, this is a very dangerous situation that we're always in when you're dealing with Edomites. In fact, that's the reason why when we go into the book of Psalms, okay, it reads, they encourage themselves in evil mind, they commune of laying snares privy, they say, who shall see them? They search for iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. You know, they really have this psychological training, okay, where the so-called Negro is just seen as this like untamed beast. This is why we would call it 3/5 of a man. Why is it that when you see arrests with these serial killers, these pedophiles, it's very gentle, you know, it's handled in a way that really they call themselves peace officers and they handle it like that. But when it's dealing with us, even a child of the so-called Negro race, okay, or so-called Negro child or Latino child, but particularly the Negro, is brutally beaten. Brutally beaten. No mercy is shown. In fact, this is why we always tell you, okay, Matthew 5:25 reads, agree with thine adversary quickly, while thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Prison system is made up of a lot of our people. We don't have rights. Okay? You gotta swallow it, Jake. You gotta swallow your pride, man. You gotta swallow that, you know, this is not fair. It isn't. Because like I opened up, I said, this is not coincidental that we are in this situation. Even the elect man of the Lord, Yahweh Shai, we have to tread lightly. We have to tread lightly. That's why you have brothers put up videos all the time. If you feel like those demons are coming up on you, you have to rebuke those demons on you. Because as men who've been under oppression, some of us 5-6 decades, depends on the age and where we lived, and you know, every individual brother have a different experience. You know, you're angry, but we put that anger into these lessons by being witness, okay, of the heinous crimes that this man has committed against the children of Israel. That's where we put that aggression in these scriptures. But you see how they look at you. Here you are. They're looking at Shorty, but what they see is a menacing figure. So it justifies, in their mind, they're justified to put down this overwhelming beast with their sword. Let's take a look at another video clip here, and then we'll close out.
There is absolutely nothing that MAGA folks won't blame on people of color. Not because folks of color are actually to blame for any of those things, but because it's all MAGA knows. If you're out of work, must be because an immigrant of color or a black person took your job. If your taxes are too high, it must be because of welfare payments going to those people. Never mind the contradiction of saying that they take all the jobs, but also take none of the jobs because they're too busy relying on welfare rather than working. It can't be both, guys. You got to pick a lane, right? Kid didn't get into the college you wanted? Well, must be because a person of color got preferential treatment and stole their slot, even though the Supreme Court has essentially ended race-based affirmative action. You can't afford a home? Well, it must be because immigrants are taking all the homes and driving up the cost. Forget for a minute that they're also the ones building most of the homes, thereby driving down the cost, but, you know, whatever. Scared of crime? Well, it must be because black and brown folks and migrants are making the cities unsafe. Forget for a minute that crime has actually dropped, even as immigration has gone up, and immigrants have lower crime rates than American citizens, but, you know, whatever. When the pandemic hit, oh yeah, that was the fault of Asians, people of color, and their open air markets. When a door flew off a plane a couple years ago, Elon blamed it on a DEI program for pilots. And when a barge brought down a bridge in Baltimore, the right blamed it on the DEI mayor, which is just their new word for the N-word. To MAGA, white folks are never to blame for anything. Black and brown folks are to blame for everything. Why? Because MAGA is a racist cult. If your answer for every problem in America is people of color, you're a racist by definition.
Now you saw in that video clip, okay, it's a blame. And what you have here would look to be an Edomite. I don't know if he is or not, and it doesn't matter. It's good that they are actually admitting their own fault, and that's a very, very few of them would actually admit it, and they're only doing it nowadays just because they themselves are being impacted. This is the reason why the scripture said, what? He's going to have the Egyptian against the Egyptians. Because they can realize that there's been always a practice or an element of evil and wickedness here in Great Babylon, America. But it has been geared towards a set of people that nobody cared about. And that set of people is us. When I look in the mirror in the morning, I know nobody gives a shit about me. And I don't ever walk around with it in my head that somebody gives a crap about me. And certainly not these people. But they're getting impacted right now because they're getting the curses placed on them. The kingdom is getting ready to be set up on this earth. But before that happens, this current kingdom has to fall. Let's go to Isaiah 47, verse 3. It reads, "Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shemashai is his name, the Holy One of Israel." And look what he says to Edom, or Great Babylon, America. "Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. I was wroth with my people, I have polluted my inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hadst thou very heavily laid thy yoke." So these people don't care. You saw the man there, and I added those pictures, for reference. Okay, and I adopted the video a little bit. I added those pictures for reference as he spoke about. Here we work the shittiest jobs, but we're still being blamed. We live in the shittiest places, we're still being blamed. Jake has to jump through hoop and do all kinds of craziness just to get ahead here. Okay, or basically, sell their soul. For what? Okay? And they still blame. These people don't take any type of responsibility for their actions. Okay? And this is how they can justify themselves. Okay? They're looking to hunt us. Okay? They see us as these ethereal monsters, especially if you're a so-called black man. I mean, and I've experienced this myself personally. Okay, and I'm a little guy in all aspect, a very little, a small person. I'm not tall at all. But people, I've been perceived as this huge monster. Okay. Continue says, and thou said, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. So they're not going to keep in mind that, you know, as the world always says, what goes around comes around. Okay. And, you know, the book of Jeremiah speaks about what we weren't supposed to go into slavery. Okay. But we're going to go through that. You know, we weren't supposed to go through that slavery, but we went through it. So the cup will be passed over to Esau. They're going to get it too. All right. As I was saying, you know, Jeremiah 49:12 goes into that. Okay. That the Lord has promised what Esau, these Edomites, should be drinking of it. But in the kingdom, we're not going to blame you for everything. You're going to be so low, we don't have to blame you for everything. There are other nations that are going to look at you and go, is this the man that made the earth tremble and made kingdoms fall and stuff like that? They're going to despise you and they're going to be laying hands on you. You're going to have a terrible time in the kingdom. So this has been the 100 steps in Edom. That's okay. That's okay. Hang in there, Jake. Hang in there, brothers and sisters. Hang in there. Lord willing, the like was our Father, because we're giving all going on to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai Bashim, Rakakadash. Shalom.